Open up idle Python, and for today we are just going to use the interactive Python shell in the beginning. We can use Python for quite a bit of math sort of things. So for example, if I just wrote 1 plus 1, the answer is going to be 2. And of course we could make that slightly more difficult, and each time it's going to give me the answer. I can also, for example, do the other operations of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division all at the same time. So let's go 8 times 9, which gives us an answer of 72. If we do something a little bit longer, for example, let's say 9 plus 8 times 5, it's important to note that if you're using BODMAS or BITMAS, that this will be the answer according to BODMAS or BITMAS. So we're going to go the 8 times 5 first, which is 40, plus the 9, which gives us the answer of 49, not 9 plus 8 and then multiply that by 5. What we're now going to do is we're going to look at various data types. Now the numbers that we have been dealing with at the moment are whole numbers, and these are called integers. And integers can be both positive or negative or 0. Integers cannot show fractions, and this is why we need something else called a floating point or real numbers, and that's abbreviated to a float. So what we're going to do is let's add two different numbers, and I'm going to say let's add 6 plus 7, and you're going to notice that we've got the answer of 13. But if, for example, I typed in 6.0 plus 7, you'll now notice that I have 13.0. So that is a float, and we can convert a float and an integer interchangeably. And what we need, for example, if I would like to make a number, let's take 13.0 into an integer, because it's currently a float at the moment, I'm going to type in int, short for integer, and 13.0. And when I press enter, it will convert that to an integer. Likewise, if I type in the word float, and I then type in 13, and I then press enter, it now converts that integer to a floating point or a decimal point. The next data type we're going to look at is a string. The abbreviation for this is str. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to say name is equal to string, and I'm going to press enter. I've now said, which is what we've done before, is name is equal to an input, please type in your name. And if I now, for example, type in W45 and I now press enter, we've now said whatever you type in has to be a string. So even if you have numbers in, it will still make sure that whatever you type is a string. So when I type print hello and name, it's going to come up and it's going to say hello W45. The next data type we're going to look at is the Boolean data type, which comes up as true or false, and it's basically a comparison. Now we've done a is equal to, let's say, 65 before, and that equal sign that we have put in there is an assignment operator. It is used to assign something to a variable. So this time we have used the variable a, which is equal to 65. Now if I have to go a double equal sign, and I'm going to make it 67 just to make it slightly different, this is a comparison operator, and this is what we use in Boolean. So it's used to compare one item to another item, and the result will either be true or false. So if I press enter, it will come up as false because a does not equal to 67 because they are different. I'm going to continue with this Boolean logic, and I'm going to make x is equal to 5, and I'm going to make y is equal to 8. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different thing. I'm going to say print is x equal to y. And we've now said print x comparative to y, and then is it true or false, and I'm going to press enter, and you can see quite clearly that the two are not the same. You'll now notice that I've now used the exclamation mark and the equal sign, and that means that x does not equal to y, and if I press enter, that should come up as true. Of course, what I do need to do is change that in the actual code as well, and now it will come up as true. Excellent. Of course, if I don't want it to type all the things on the left and I just want you to say whether it's true or false, I can drop the exclamation marks and type in just print is x less than y, and if I press enter, that is true. And of course, we could say is x less than y or greater than, and you can keep on carrying on with the same sort of things. Let's now take this to the next step. Let's say we would like to say print 5 plus 10, and if I press enter, the answer is going to be 15, because 5 plus 10 is 15. When we look at string concatenation, concatenation means to add two things together. I'm going to say that A is equal to an input of a random number, and I'm going to choose a random number, which is going to be 6. I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to say B is equal to an input, and I'm going to put in a random number, and I'm going to put in the number 8. I'm going to say that S is equal to A plus B, and I'm now going to say, well, let's print S. Now watch what happens. If I press enter, it comes up with an answer of 68. So when we have a look at this, A is equal to 6 and B is equal to 8. 6 plus 8 is 14, and definitely not 68. What's happened with the concatenation is A, which is the input of 6, is a string. So B is also a string of 8. So what's happened is Python has concatenated these two things together, and it's gone 6, which could have been anything, it could have been a letter, and it's put it with the 8. So together the two things become 6 and 8, not the actual value of 68. I'm going to do exactly the same thing, but this time I'm going to write that A is equal to int integer input. And now if I type in 6, and I'm now going to type in the second line, B is equal to input, I'm going to type in 8, and now if I go S is equal to A plus B, and I now type in print S, I now have the answer of 14. 6 plus 8 is equal to 14, because now that Python knows that these are integers.